Let's kick it back to the early 2000s. What a time to be alive. A strange time, in fact. The 90s were still holding on. We had some pretty damn good TV shows. And just like most of us, we were going through like the middle school phase of life. So were the cars of the time. And that's like the best way that I can describe the cars of the early 2000s. Either way, what's going on, everybody? Jels from Fitment Industries, Fitment Industries Garage. And we are back with another episode of What Wheels Fit, where we go over all different types of cars and cover what wheels, tires, and suspension people are running on them. And today we are going to be going over the one, the only, the side vent looking Mitsubishi Eclipse, which is the third generation Eclipse. Real quick, before we dive into the nitty gritty of today's episode, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It helps us out a ton. And of course, once you finish this video and know what wheels you are going to need for your very own third gen Eclipse, don't forget to help you out and check out some of the links down below, and head on over to fitmentindustries.com and check out all the wheel, tire, and suspension options that we have available for not only your third gen, but any other car you might have as well. First things first, everyone needs a good starting point, which means we have a general fitment range for these cars that gives us diameters ranging from 17 to 20 inches, widths ranging from 6.5 to 8 inches, and an offset landing somewhere between plus 45 and plus 35. And then finally, a bolt pattern 5x1 14.3. So actually a pretty small starting range here. However, there still are quite a few options in between and even above that people are running. So what we're gonna do is help narrow that down by taking a look at some of the third gens that are sitting in our fitment gallery right now over at fitmentindustries.com and dive into what people are running on their cars to help give you guys a first-hand look as to what certain setups look like. We're going to start with some more modest setups, something that'd be good for daily driving, don't have to worry about rubbing issues or anything like that, and then work our way up to some wider and more aggressive setups. That being said, let's get into it and take a look at our first car of the day, which is going to be this 2003 GTS with some XXR 527s, a very popular wheel among pretty much all generations of the Mitsubishi Eclipse. These are a size of 18x8 with a plus 42 offset, paired with some Nanking NS20 225/40 tires for the size, and then sitting on some Megan Racing coilovers, getting a nearly flush fitment all around with this setup with no rubbing issues and no need for rolling your fenders. Overall, a pretty decent setup to start off the list. Up next, we have a red 2001 with some JNC 005s, similar size here, 18x8, but dropping that offset down slightly to get a little more aggressive to a plus 34 offset. Remember, the lower offset that you're going with, the more aggressive the fitment will be. For tires, we have some Nexen SU1s, 215/40 for the size, and then sitting on some coilovers again for the suspension. Again, getting a nearly flush fitment with no rubbing issues or the need to roll your fenders. Bumping up the width a little bit here, we get to this 2005 GTS with some Avid 1 AV32s, 18x8.5 with a plus 35 offset. Wrapping some Nanking NS25s, 235/40 for the size, then sitting lowered with some help from the Tane lowering springs that are on this car, giving us a pretty decent flush fitment here that looks damn good in my opinion. No rubbing except for when the wheels are at full turn, and that is thanks to the little black box that sits in the fender well. Any third gen guys out there, if you don't know what that black box is, you'll figure it out pretty damn soon. Fenders remain stock here as well with no rolling needed. Overall, really good setup and a good option to go with. Up next, we take a look at a 2005 GTS convertible, some Milani Virtue wheels, 18x8.5 with a plus 30 offset, paired with some Nitto NT555 G2, 235/35 for the size, and then sitting on some Tane coilovers. Very flush fitment here with this setup, which gives us a slight rub at full turn, does require the fenders to be rolled, and even a little bit of that plastic trimming on the inside of the fender wells to clear up some extra room. Moving right along here, we get to this 2000 GT with some ESR SR09s, 18x9.5 with a plus 35 offset. So going up that width again, but still seeing a pretty similar offset to the past. Some Delenti D7 Thunder tires, 225/40, and then sitting on some Tane coilovers once again. Typical fitment, as we've been seeing with these last few cars, slight rub at full turn can be helped out with some fender rolling and some trimming of the plastic on the inside of those wheel wells. Getting into our last two cars of the day, we get to this 2001 GT with some ESR SR02s, 18x9.5 plus 35, wrapping some Pantera Sport All Seasons 225/40, and then sitting on some Godspeed Project coilovers. As you can see, this car is pretty damn low, which requires not only the fenders to be rolled, but also ditching some of the fender liners and trimming trimming away some of the metal in the rear to clear up some room. Which brings us to our last car of the day, which is going to be this gorgeous looking 2000 GT convertible with some ESR SR08s. And these are a staggered setup, 18 by 8.5 plus 30 up front and an 18 by 9.5 plus 22 in the rear. Some Federal 595s, 215/35 and a 225/40 sitting on some Godspeed Project coilovers. I think the fitment on this car is damn near perfect. I don't know or didn't know that you can make a convertible third gen look good or even look this way, and I think it looks really, really good. It actually has some Godspeed mono SS struts with some Eibach 5-inch lowering springs, so a little bit of a combination there, some metal trimming to make some extra room for those wheels in the back, but overall an absolutely solid setup. So there you have it, some solid examples of what we are looking at as far as fitments for your third generation Mitsubishi Eclipses. Don't forget, if you want to check out more or dive into these cars a little bit more, check out the Fitment Gallery over at fitmentindustries.com. It's a free tool to use to help you pick out your next set of wheels so you can see firsthand what certain setups look like and help you figure out what size you are going to go with. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Gels from Fitment Industries. We'll see you later. Peace.